Good afternoon, everyone. Obviously, a difficult loss on Saturday to lose like that, and became worse. And you guys know, it became worse and more expensive on the loss because we did lose Daniel Green for the season, and he had surgery this morning. And it's been a tough day, tough couple days around here for myself, for a lot of the 6-year guys, a lot of the linebackers, because he's been the heart and soul for those guys and for our football team. And Daniel and I have been through an awful lot since the first day I got here, and I've never seen a young man grow into such a man. And what a leader that Daniel Green is and has been and will still be for our players the rest of this year, but he'll do it in a different light as more of a student coach. And so I'm gut wrenched by losing him, and not because of just the football part of it, but just having that kid around every day at practice and being really the lifeblood of the defense. And now some other guys have to step up. Trayshawn Ward got banged up. You guys saw that. I think he's doubtful. We'll learn more later in the week, but I would say he's doubtful. Will Howard, I would say, would be questionable. He didn't practice yesterday. I think he's limited today. We just got to figure that one out as the week goes on. Probably won't know on that one till later in the week. But all that being said, as the message was to the guys on Monday, we can't let Missouri beat us twice. We have to come up with great game plans, no matter who's playing at quarterback, running back, Mike linebacker, and the show moves on. And we've got to continue to battle the adversity that we're facing. And everybody else is battling a lot of stuff too. So it's our job as coaches to get the guys in great positions to be successful on Saturday against a really talented Central Florida team that, from what I understand, may be down a player or two as well. Probably start Avery, but we'd have Rubes ready to go too. I mean, we'd give both guys a lot of reps, and like we did yesterday, we split a lot of those reps yesterday. Colin and I really haven't dove into that on Tuesday. Today will be the same thing. In my guess is that Avery will take most of the reps of the ones, but Jake will take some as well, and we'll see how the week goes.
I know Will's never had injury
Yeah.
issues here. Unfortunately, it came up now. But what percentage would he have to be at where you feel comfortable?
That's a good question. I'd have to see him do some things. And yesterday, there's no way he could have done anything. And you're right, he's a very, very tough kid and gutted it out, probably similar to what Brady Cook did in gutting it out, too, for Mizzou. Those two kids, neither one of them could run at the end of the game, but threw the ball well. So we'll have to figure that out as the week goes on.
You get some good news. Christian Duffy's back. What would be the plan getting him back?
I'd love to get him between 20 and 30 snaps. I think he may like to think he can get 30 to 40 snaps, but anywhere between that 20 and 35 snaps would be terrific. He had a normal practice yesterday. Granted, we weren't in pads. Today he'll be in pads, and he was in pads last week, so it's not like this is Coach, what are you going to do? You're going to play this kid that hasn't been in pads. He was in pads last week as well and did some run game, did some pass game stuff. Obviously, conditioning is a little bit of a concern, but Coach True's been working with him an awful lot. And so we got to see how that conditioning can translate to practice and on the field. But he will be available.
How much would his return? How much could his return potentially mean to the offense?
I think it'll mean a bunch as far as not that guys aren't playing as well, but you got a guy that's a 48 game starter that the communication, it gets up to notch because Duff's been through everything and seen everything, and comfort level, and to get those 5 guys back, we're still going to, when he does come back, we're still going to play Carver Willis. We're still going to play TP, some of the guys that have been playing, but it'll just give us, maybe that opportunity to keep Cooper where we want to keep him at guard. And so if we can keep him where we have him at guard, and hopefully Duff and Carver can take those reps at tackle, I think it makes us a better front with Cooper at guard.
Just to clarify on Daniel, he's in his 6th year. Is that beyond the scope of the next
You know what, Fitz? I haven't even asked about that. Probably because it's so fresh and so new, and I don't even want to have the conversation with him if it could come up. It'll be something that I'm going to investigate.
After you went back and watched film of the Missouri game,
Yep.
what were some of the things that jumped out?
Missed opportunities more than anything. Offensively, a couple of opportunities to make some plays, and we don't on 3rd and 4, 1st and 10 on the last drive. We have a chance. We have the ball around midfield, up 24-20 twice. Where we have a chance to go up by 2 scores and give them credit. We didn't make the plays they did. And then just the glaring weakness of just not playing well in the secondary.
And also at running back, you've got Prius with maybe Joe Jackson taking reps.
I would say probably LaJames White and Shippers would be Anthony for sure. And it was yesterday, but LaJames will come over there because he's a traveler anyway. Shippers is a traveler that knows the offense. I think those 4 guys.
What's the confidence in Austin Romaine, a true freshman? That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's a big task for a true freshman, and he doesn't play and doesn't act like a true freshman. I grabbed him after practice. He belongs. He's a really good football player. I think we've seen that in the first few weeks. Now, he's got to be a catalyst in there, and Bo Palmer will play a lot too. Between those two, we've always protected Daniel through fall camp. So those 2 guys got most of the reps throughout fall camp, even when Daniel was banged up a little bit. So from a practice standpoint, those 2 have done a nice job. Now they got to do it in a game situation. Bo's done it a little bit in the past. Austin's done a little bit this year. It probably puts more added communication pressure on Austin Moore and Des Purnell. And those 2 guys are ready for that. And we're going to try to take a lot of heat off of the Mike linebacker from the communication standpoint, because Austin Moore can do it and wants that on his plate, and you want that out of a 5th-year guy.
And would you still characterize some of the breakdowns on defense against Missouri as miscommunication?
Miscommunication, poor technique, poor eye discipline.
How would you classify Jake Clifton's recovery and progress?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be ready this week. Hasn't done anything for us yet other than stuff in the training room. We can hold out hope, but I think he's probably the bye week away.
Unfortunately, you've likely handled these season-ending injury situations before. Do you invite a guy to be involved with the program, to stay involved as he can be?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've had this. I've dealt with this stuff all the way back to Carson Wentz when he missed his senior year, and Skyler, and Adrian, and so on and so forth. And it's where it's really tough is when they're captains, and every one of those situations, those guys were captains, and they have to stay involved. And you want them to, but I've never had one of them say I don't want to be involved and step away either, because these are their guys. And Daniel Green's going to make sure Austin Romaine and Bo Palmer are ready to go, and he's going to make sure that defense is understands that we have to up the level of the standard, because we weren't as good as we needed to be, but on Saturday. But give Mizzou a lot of credit.
And with the UCF Henshaw Malzahn offense, do you see kind of a duplicate around the Big 12 that runs
No.
type things?
No. You could a little bit of Texas Tech, but it's a different deal. They want to run the football. It's just going to be lightning fast. We're going to play a lot of plays, and we've got to be able to get off the field when we have the opportunity to get off the field, and we've got to do a great job in the red zone on defense, because they're going to move the football, and we have to be able to make when you have an opportunity to make a play, a tipped ball, balls on the ground, a tackle in the open field, a sack opportunity. You can't let them off the hook, because if you miss them, you're probably going to pay for it at the end of the drive. And that and the amount of gadget and trick plays, and they're not. I mean, they're good. They're gadget and trick plays, but they're good because they mess with your eyes. And we have to do a great job of showing these things an awful lot. And I know they'll come up with different ones, but that's the big challenge, is staying disciplined enough. And then offensively, being able to control the clock and control the ball and try to do the best we can to keep their offense on the sideline. I mean, that's the number one goal against high tempo offenses is have your own offense hang on to the football for 35 minutes. I mean, that's what you hope for, even though, you still got to get points out of those as well. It's a pec.
Do you remember the first impression that Daniel made on you whenever you got here?
Not really. It's just a culmination of time with him and spending the amount of time I have with him in my office, visiting about life, about football, about everything else, and he was one of those guys that was never afraid to come up and just sit down and talk. And but he's like that with every coach, and that's the neat thing about it. Doesn't matter if it's offense or defensive guys. It was a tough day on Sunday when he came up, and we all knew, and kind of went around from different office to office, the amount of respect that all of our coaches, support staff, and stuff have for Deuce, because he's been with us the whole time here.
And then looking back at the snaps that Avery did get last week,
Mm-hmm.
what was kind of your evaluation of how he did?
Well, we wanted to give him a handful of snaps, and they just happened to be calls where it was a designed read of a run pass. And we even screwed up a couple of those plays that I know frustrated Coach Klein, because we didn't get something, we had an error, alignment assignment error. And that happened on offense as well as defense that we've got to get cleaned up. But he made plays even when things broke down. And, we've got to get him ready to go. But the one thing that I'm excited is if he gets that opportunity, it's not just some gimmick run plays. He's going to spin the ball around, and he's going to be a pure quarterback. And he would need to be that for us.
And then UCF is another team that has some guys up front defensively.
Yep.
After going through Troy and then Missouri, how can those experiences kind of help?
Well, we've been challenged for sure up front. There's no doubt about that, and we're going to be challenged again this week. And so we've got to find ways creatively to run the football without maybe doing too much with trying to simplify some things, as much for our offensive line, as much for our quarterbacks, and for our running backs. So that we can eliminate some of the errors that we're having in the run game, and some of those are maybe mis-IDing something, and some of that is just we've got to finish better, and it's not just O-linemen, it's tight ends, it's fullbacks, it's wide receivers of blocking. We maybe don't target the right guy, and that guy makes a play, or we have it targeted right and we fall off a block, and that happened a few times as well.
As a new team in the conference, how have you gone about preparing for UCF? Did you spend some special time in the offseason looking at them?
Yeah, we spent a little bit of time on Houston and UCF, because those are the two that we were going to play a little bit in the summer. A couple days on each team, get some just some early observations on them, and knowing when we played the two teams, obviously this one being early. We have a number of our cut-ups are from this year, but they've had two non-competitive games. So it's hard to get a great evaluation on a couple of their wins, because they were blowouts really early. And Boise's really the only game that you can see some things, and there's some things that maybe aren't what we do offensively and defensively. So we have to go back a little bit more into last year's film. We know there's a coordinator change on the defensive side, so just trying to do some research there. And we've done the same thing on Houston, but that one's down the line a little bit.
And what are your impressions on their quarterback that they're going to put on?
I know he's played a lot of football, and played at South Florida and then transferred, and I thought he played a really good game against Villanova. I know how good the Plumlee kid is that they had that was injured, and I hope he's okay, because that play looked really ugly on film. And there's another tough son of a gun, because he gutted it out and played the last two plays on one leg, and that's inspiring when you watch that. When you watch Will Howard, when you watch Daniel Green, the guys that aren't going to let their team down, and you can tell he's that type of guy. He wasn't going to let his team down. He was going to finish that game, and so just a little bit of observation on the guy that is going to play in this game. He's playing for Gus Malzahn, so he's going to know what he's doing. I mean, Gus is a great teacher of the game and teacher of his offense, and he's going to put him in positions to be successful. And that's the way we have to look at it. I don't care if he's experienced, inexperienced. You're playing for Gus, you're pretty dang good.
And any similarities you think with Avery and Will? I think was put in kind of a similar situation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you see a difference in how they?
No, not really. I think both from the mental side of it came in wanting to be a sponge and learn as much as they could from the older guy, and whether it was Skyler or for Avery, Will, they just took it all in and didn't try to do more than they were asked to do, just tried to do what was going to help the team win. Both have really good skill sets. And I'd be lying if I didn't tell you that I think as a freshman, Avery's faster than what Will was as a true freshman. I think Will would probably admit to that. But no, I think there's a lot of similarities to it. And one thing I knew about Will Howard back then, and I know about Avery now, is the stage isn't going to be too big. But in the same respect, as collectively as a football team, we can't put it all on their shoulder. It's got to be what we do on defense, what we do on special teams, the offensive support staff that's got to make it easier for him to operate.
And you talked last week about defensively trying to make the other team one-dimensional,
Yep.
putting a lot of stopping the run. But given the problems in the secondary, are there some adjustments you're going to have to make to?
Absolutely.
Would you like to elaborate?
No, I'm not going to elaborate.
What do you sense the mood is with the guys right now? A tough loss and then really banged up with injuries. Is it challenging to keep them upbeat right now?
No, I think everybody was down on Sunday for a lot of reasons, and banged up, probably like Missouri was banged up. But as we talked about on Saturday, I mean, this is life in the Big 12. I mean, we're going to have so many one score, one possession, one critical drive games that you got to find ways to win those games, and you have to learn from it, but you got to flush it too. This is a long season, and there's a lot of things still in front of us. But you got to flush whatever has happened to you. You have to continue to learn from it, as well as we have to continue to develop guys, a la what we're doing with the running back position, what we're doing with the linebacker position. When you lose Daniel Green, it affects some special teams, because a lot of guys that were maybe starters on special teams are maybe pulled off of that because they're going to play a lot of snaps. And now some other guys have the opportunity to step up. So it's a trickle down, but everybody has to just own their job and own their role. And we have a standard here, and I think our leaders did a phenomenal job yesterday after practice. I broke it down and said, leaders, you got the offense, you got the defense. You make sure that we live up to the standard this entire week so we can put our best foot forward on Saturday.
Kind of going off that a little bit, you guys were so good last year about bouncing back, whether after Tulane or
Yep.
after TCU. How much can that kind of instill?
Well, that was last year's team, but there's no question you want to draw off some of those experiences. And we have a number of guys that can, but you can't. You got to realize it wasn't last year. It is this year, and it's a new team, and we have some new challenges on both sides of the ball that we have to continue to shore up. I think we all see we have some really good strengths on this team, both sides of the ball and in the kicking game. But we have to emphasize those, but we've got to fix and address our weaknesses.
What do you see from the UCF defense?
Physical, very long athletic guys. They've been a lot more man coverage. They have the ability to play zone, but they're big good players at corners that can lock you down. They get off blocks up front. You know, it's a small sample size from this year's film because of the two lopsided wins that they had. They dominated those games, so you play a lot of backups. But I think they play really well to what their offense does. They don't give up and pride themselves on not giving up explosive plays, and they harass the quarterback.
We saw Avery on Saturday, ran every time he touched the ball. Do you feel comfortable opening up the offense for him?
Yeah, that was just the plan against Missouri, and I think everybody saw the game that he played against SEMO. He can do everything, and we will do everything with him.
Coach, you've obviously seen multi-layered routes, combo routes before. Do you just go back and hammer those details and that fundamentals in
Yep.
the secondary of how to do things right?
Yeah, it's still, you got to train your eyes to make sure that you know what you're seeing, and it's probably the same picture we showed you on film in the scouting report, and you can't get lazy with your technique.
And if you had to go all the way back to USF to find some McLean
Yep.
setups,
Yep. Yeah, some of our guys have done that, you bet.
Kind of an unrelated question here, Coach. Kansas played at Nevada late night, came back on Sunday, which counted as a team day, so they had to practice Sunday night to get into practice. Now we've got next week Cincinnati going to BYU to play a game that would be 10:30 on their clock.
Yeah.
Is this something that the league needs to be careful with now that in the future with the league being 16, there's a lot of Western games?
Yeah, but I don't know how much I hear you, Fitz. I mean, we're going to go play at Oklahoma State, which isn't as bad of a trip at night. But what time's UCF going to get home? When this one's a 7 o'clock Central and it's 8 o'clock, and I don't even know what they have next week, but it's going to be really, really late. But I think we're a little bit at the mercy of the networks, aren't we? As far as when they're choosing those games, and you know, we don't have any this year with the road games that we do have. I know we're going to have some night games, but the travel shouldn't be terrible. But moving forward, I don't know how they are going to have to address it because it's going to happen across the country. It's not just the Big 12.